Yeah, peace, peace, peace. This is Eric the Man Scientist, you know what I'm saying? I'm about to break down a little bit of cloning. Not gonna make it too long. I know people got short attention spans and stuff, but I wanted to speak on this because a lot of people are trying to put out this false narrative of cloning that is a machine that can clone a whole human being and all this stuff, but they can't prove it. They can't show you the process of it. They can't show you the machine. Everything is a secret. If it's a secret, then how you know about it? Like, come on now. So I just want to break down what it really is and how it works, and to show that there is no proof of them cloning humans right now. They can if they wanted to, but it's processes that go through like human activists and stuff trying to stop it. So a lot of things happens before they come out in public and really do it. They might be doing it on the low, but this is the process that they really have to go through. Okay, let's get to it. Okay, cloning. National Human Genome Research Institute. The term cloning describes a number of different processes that can be used to produce genetically identical copies of a biological entity. The copy material, which has the same genetic makeup as the original, is referred to as a clone. Researchers have cloned a wide range of biological materials, including genes, cells, tissue, and even entire organisms, such as a sheep. So, as you see on the left, you see the original sheep. On the right, you see the clone, which is identical copy. This was cloning ease. I mean, identical copy. So if you hear anybody trying to say they cloned a person and this person doesn't look like the other person, that's not a clone. Okay? So let these people know this. When you hear people saying that, let them know that's not what a clone is. A clone is identical copy. The only difference would be if how it's raised, meaning you could be bigger, you can have more weight, stuff like that. You can act different because of the environment you in or who you raise. But it does not mean if somebody else looks like go to jail or like these rappers go to jail, they come out. Next thing you know, Gucci Man don't look like it, so he's a clone. That's not what a clone means. Okay, there's different types of cloning. You got reproductive cloning, therapeutic cloning, asexual cloning, and natural cloning. Now I'm not gonna talk about asexual cloning because I'm only talking about cloning that could be used for humans. You know what I'm saying? Asexual cloning is not a thing that a mammal can do. A sexual clone is basically they can create a clone of their self because they have both parts, so they can basically they create a clone of themselves. Most amphibians, some amphibians, stuff like that could do it, but it's not a mammal thing. It's not a human thing. So I'm not going to speak on that. All right, two types of artificial cloning. We're gonna talk about the reproductive, and then we're gonna talk about the therapeutic. Okay. So as you can see right here, I just want you to see how it goes. They take the cell from the man, mix it with the egg. If you can see, I wish I had oh yeah. If you can see that, they had the egg and the cell. They put it together. They fuse it, which naturally it fuses inside the woman, but they had to fuse it. So because the cell and the egg shouldn't, it naturally doesn't mix. Because the cell is actually you. The sperm is an entity that has your DNA in it, but the cell is actually you. All right, so they mix it, fuses it into an embryo, then they put it back in the surrogate mother, and then the surrogate mother produces it. They take the nucleus out. All right, but we'll get to that in a minute. All right, cloning myth. A common belief is that a clone is created will magically appear at the same age as the original. This simply isn't true. You remember that cloning is a way to create an embryo, not to a full grown individual. The embryo, once created, must develop exactly the same way as a regular embryo, made by joining egg and sperm. Your clone would need a surrogate mother and ample time to grow and fully develop into an individual. So they're saying again, when they're saying people just If you think your clone is gonna come out and be the same age as you, that's not what a cloning is. It has to go through the same process as natural cloning when you put the sperm in the egg. But as I showed you, they don't use the sperm; they use your cell because your cell what makes up you. You're a multi-cell being. So they take a part of you, which is a part of you, and they put it in the embryo, which makes a copy of you. But that copy has to come through birth again. Okay, reproductive cloning. Until 1996, Wilmot and his colleagues at the Rosalind Institute of Scotland cloned Dolly the sheep, the first mammal to be cloned from the adult cell. Wilmot's work could be led to the production of proteins for people with hemophilia, hemophilia, and a transplant of animal organs into a human. So this is the reproductive cloning. What they mean when they use the cell, they produce it and create a whole baby. You know what I'm saying? And create a whole clone. That's called productive cloning, which is no evidence of human productive cloning yet. Which doesn't mean that they can't do it. What it means is, again, activists, human activists, all these people come out and they protest against it. It says not against human rights. Most scientists, which you will see later on, don't even agree with cloning humans because they don't know. They just don't know how it's gonna, how it's gonna be because you're doing something that's not natural. With people who believe in the Most High, you're doing something that's not divinely created. All right. Human Reproductive Cloning, National Human Genome Research Institute. These are the sources I get this stuff from, so you can look it up if you want to research on it further. The term cloning describes a number of different processes that can be used to produce genetically identical copies of a biological entity. The copy material, which has the same genetic makeup as the original, is referred to as a clone. Researchers have cloned a wide range of biological materials, including genes, cells, tissue, even entire organisms such as the sheep. So this is the same one I read last time, just so you can understand it. Because I want to break it down so you understand. When it's talking about the whole organism, it's talking about the whole being. Okay, they actually are trying to they actually can clone other things too. That's why they're taking like cells because cells would create these things. So they trying to regenerate tissue. They trying to. I think they had a part when they took a person. Well, they took a mouse and or was it a human? So I can't remember exactly how they did it, and they regenerated the ear from a rat because we have close to genetic gene. Okay, so they're trying to regenerate things too. So like when you lost something to regenerate it, because certain other beings can do this. Like reptiles, I think some reptiles could do it. So that's what they're doing. They're artificially trying to regenerate flesh, organs, stuff like that. This is the stuff that these scientists are trying to do. But let me stay on the cloning part. Step to reproductive cloning. Remove a somatic cell. Mature somatic cells, such as a skin cell, is removed from the animal to be cloned. Create a egg. The nucleus, which contains the DNA, is removed from the egg. So there's the part I wanted to show. They take the cell, skin cell, because it says cells is what create the tissue, the organs, stuff like that. You're a multi-cell being. That's what that means. All right. They take the egg, they take the nucleus out of which produces the DNA that has DNA in it. So therefore, when they cloning you, it doesn't have the mother DNA because if it had the mother DNA, it wouldn't be a clone. Okay, it wouldn't be an identical copy of you. They only using the mother as a as the nurturer, as they they need that egg to produce inside of it to fuse it so it can create inside. So it's basically like a it's like a holding. You know what I mean? It's like we put the seed in the dirt. The dirt, the nutrients that seed. That seed is everything, but you had to put it in a certain thing where it nurtures it, it feeds it while it's growing. Okay. Transfer from the somatic cell DNA. The DNA from the somatic cell is transferred into the egg that can be done by injecting the nucleus into the egg with a needle and fusing the two cells with the electric current. Develop the embryo. The egg is allowed to develop into an embryo in the test tube. Implant the embryo. The embryo is implanted into the uterus of a surrogate mother of the animal that donated the somatic cell. So again, they take the egg, they the uterus, and they put it into a surrogate mother. The surrogate mother has it, so it doesn't have DNA from the surrogate mother. It doesn't have DNA from the original mother, where it is not even the mother because it doesn't even have the DNA. It's all coming from the cell of the human being of the man. So he's an identical copy, meaning it's all from his DNA, not from nothing else. Okay. So when they talk about the nucleus, I want to break down what the nucleus is. The nucleus is a cell organelle that contains the cell's DNA and chromosome. Okay, so I want y'all to get that. And is responsible for making RNA and DNA. Is usually the largest organelle in cell, uh, and in a cell, and is located in the center. The nucleus is surrounded by a membrane process that allow molecules to pass in and out. The nucleus is the core of an atom made up of proteins and neutrons held together by the strong force. The nucleus is very small compared to the atom's volume, but contains most of its mass. The number of electrons around the nucleus determines the chemical properties of the substance. So this is what they take out of the egg before they fuse the cell and the egg together. Okay, I'm trying to break it down as simply as I can because I want people to really understand this. So when people try to come and say they cloning this person because they don't look alike, that's not true. They cloning the person from a machine, that's not true. None of this, all of that is mythical, false, fake, sound good teaching that they cannot prove. They cannot show you the process. They cannot break down exactly how that these people are cloning. How you put something in a machine and just clone it. That doesn't make any sense because you're talking about genes, you're talking about chromosomes, you're talking about everything that comes sales. You're talking about all this stuff. You telling me they could just produce this stuff and create a whole being? That doesn't make any sense. All right, egg cell. The egg cell, also called um, the ova, is the female productive cell, meaning it is a gamete produced by a female organism that, when fertilized by a sperm cell, can develop into a new individual, essentially its cell responsible for reproductive in females. Keywords about egg cells. Compared to other cells in the body, egg cells are considered very large. Produced in the ovaries. One egg cell is released from the ovary each menstrual cycle during ovulation. When the sperm cell successfully penetrates the egg cell, fertilization occurs, creating a zygote. So, of course, you see all the sperms going into the egg. They all fight that one cell only survive out of trillion sperms. Okay, y'all, most people know this. This is like a simple science. But again, the difference is they have to put the cell in there, not a sperm. Because the cell makes it, even though it's a different being, is a copy of you. And this is what the confusion is coming between the scientists and the activists because they're saying, okay, this is not a sperm where you're producing a whole other being that has your DNA, but you're producing something that actually is a part of you that makes you. You see what I'm saying? Is a difference. Even when you plant clone plants like the weed, you know what I'm saying? You could take it, put it in the ground, and it clones itself. But if you take a whole nother seed and put it in the ground, what is it? It's a whole different plant. It's not a copy. All right. Somatic cell. Somatic cell is any cell in the body of multicellular organism, organism that is not a productive cell or germ cell. Somatic cells are all cells in the body except the sperm and egg cells. They are also known as vegetal vagal cells. Somatic cells meaning they contain two sets of chromosomes, one for each parent. They are highly specialized and can be very difficult from one another. Examples of somatic cells include nerve cells, skin cells, and blood cells. DNA mutations in somatic cells can affect an individual, but they cannot be passed on to their offspring. So when we talk about a multicellular cell, when I say you're a multicellular being, we're talking about the cells. When they say they're trying to regenerate or base clone of the cells, this is what they're talking about. Brain, your muscles, skeletal muscle, your blood, your heart, skin, gut, liver, bone marrow, blood vessels, teeth. This is where when I'm gonna show you that in the therapeutic, but this is what makes you a multi-cell being. Okay, because the cells create these things, and so it's multi cells is created of multi cells. You have different. Each one is basically made up of cells. So which makes you a multi cell being, not a singular cell being. Okay, embryo. An embryo is the first stage of development of the multi cell organism. It is a group of cells that will become a baby after a fertilized egg has implanted in the uterus. During this stage, the embryo forms a major body structure such as the head, spine, internal organisms. That is when most birth defects develop. After that point, the growing baby is called a fetus. Now, I got to I got to speak with one woman one day, and she was trying to say, when I try to speak on the embryo, and this is why I say people need to learn the body. At least that, because I've got to argue with women that said that the period is when you get pregnant. I said no, a period is for cleansing. No, it ain't. I'm a female. How you know? But when you look it up, the doctors will tell you that it's to cleanse for the ovulation. When you have sex with your period, the sperm lasts for 5 to 7 days. Therefore, say you on your period for 3 days. I mean, you got 3 days left. Somebody put sperm in you. It lasts 5 to 7 days, meaning after your period, the ovulation starts and the sperm still in you and still can get you pregnant. Meaning you didn't get pregnant on your period, you got pregnant in the ovulation because the sperm still was alive. Okay, so the same as embryo. When I try to explain to her about the embryo, she said, "You don't know what you're talking about." Then she went and looked and came and apologized. But the embryo is the first stage after it fuses. So when the egg and the sperm fuses together, it creates the embryo before it becomes the fetus. So when we telling you when they killing a baby at a certain time, we're saying that baby is a living being because the embryo is the start of it. Matter of fact, once it fuses, it become the embryo is the start of it. Then it's the fetus. The fetus is once it's actually developed at a certain time. All right. So as you can see, the zygote when the sperm first goes in, then the embryo. That's when it's the first stage. Then the fetus, and then the fully baby develops. Okay. Cloning risk, high failure rate of health complications, ethnical demise, dilemmas, impact and genetic diversity, identity, and auto, auto concerns, social implications, autonomy concerns. My bad, I can't really see this really small, but identity and autonomy concerns and social implications. So when it's talking about the identity, I'm gonna get into that a little bit, but it's talking about if you was a clone, right? If somebody told you was a clone, but say you still is a soul being, you know what I mean? Uh, how would you feel if you felt like, yeah, I was basically artificially created to be a clone of this person, not a twin, not something that was natural. It's something that you basically was created, and you basically don't have your own identity. Even twins have their own identity. You know what I'm saying? But you don't. You basically is just a copy of another being that you really don't supposed to be here, but we brung you here. I mean, they don't know what they would do to that clone, and then there's health reasons that come with it, and then social implications, meaning like it's, how would the society look at you? How would you be looked at, as far as not being even looking at yourself, and then the health complications that come with it, meaning it's just not divinely made to be. It's not natural, or some people say natural. Have fair rate of health complications. Cloning has a very low success rate, and cloned animals often suffer from significant health issues like organ um, abnorm- abnormalities. Now, what this means is, right, I'm telling you, they didn't clone humans yet. They cloned animals. When they clone animals, the animals are the first stage of why how they would feel, of the process of the experiment of if a human. So when they go into these animals and they saying health issues and stuff, they talking about the animals they clone because they've been cloning animals since the 90s, and probably before that, and they understand the process of what is could happen by being humans. They can't fully say, but that's why they use certain animals that's real genetically close to us. All right. Premature aging and weakened immune system are seen as dilated sheep with a shortened lifespan compared to other sheep. The potential for creating human clones raises ethical concerns and manipulation of human genetics. The possibility of using clones for eugenic um, purposes and the implications for the psychological well-being of a clone individual who might face social stigma due to their unique genetic makeup. Again, some people, they saying it right now before human cloning even happened. These clones ain't gonna have a soul. These clones is not real humans. So this is something that they're gonna have to deal with. And we talking about something or a human being. I mean, none of us has planned to be here. But I'm saying you talking to a human being who was created artificially, who knows he's created artificially. The world knows he created artificially. So now he's questioning his identity. Am I real? Am I just a copy? Um, then he has to deal with society looking at him down like, oh, you just a monster. You're created. You're a Frankenstein. That's how they looking at it. There's a second part of it. It's more of the impact of genetic diversity. Widespread use of the productive cloning could lead to a reduction of genetic diversity within a species, making the population more vulnerable to diseases and environmental changes. Identical and autonomy concerns. A clone individual may face significant psychological challenges due to the knowledge that they are genetically identical to another person, potentially impacting their sense of identity and autonomy. Social implications. Society's concerns about the potential for misuse of cloning technology, including the creation of a designer babies with selected traits, could lead to discrimination against cloned individuals. Now, it's going to happen one day, but these are the things, I- that I think that's going to be the blueprint of how it begins. It might, years later, it might get accepted, but these are the things that it's going to be facing when this first happened, when they first actually come out and plug, we say we cloning these humans. There's going to be a lot of the things that's going to happen because even when you talk to a lot of twins, identical twins and stuff like that, I've heard them have problems with their identity, feeling like they always been combined as one. Or y'all twins. So they had to think of like they had to do, you know what I mean? So it's like they can't. A lot of times they feel like they can't separate themselves. So a lot of them attach themselves and just live as one being almost. You know what I'm saying? But some of them want to attach themselves and have their own identity, feeling like you can always look at me as my twin, and my twin will always be looked at as me. All right. Then you got therapeutic cloning. Therapeutic cloning involves creating a clone embryo for the sole purpose of producing embryonic stem cells with the same DNA as the donor cells. These stem cells can be used to experiments aimed at understanding disease and developing new treatments for disease. To date, there is no evidence that human embryos have been produced for therapeutic cloning. Now, this is the problem with therapeutic cloning because this, to me, this is almost down there like abortion. Okay, because what they're saying is they're going to clone them, get them to about the embryo stage, then they're going to take the stem cells out. So these embryos are not going to fully ever go into a baby. But when they're taking these stem cells out, um, they create other cells, which I told you cells, what they call cells, multi cells, liver, heart, muscle. So what they want to do is take these stem cells and they can regenerate certain things that a person might need instead of waiting for a person to die and try to get their cells or organs, what we call organs. So you know what I'm saying. So they're trying to find a way to where they say, okay, these clones, most people ain't gonna believe that these things are real or real humans. So and then most people don't know what an embryo is. Most people don't understand that they just is basically killing a baby before it's fully developed into a fetus. You know what I'm saying? So they've taken the stem cells out and then trying to regenerate it for organs, cells, and then try to that. I mean, so they basically saying we taking a life to help a life, but the life we taking is not a natural being. So therefore, it's not going to be it's not as unhuman. You know what I'm saying? Unhuman to do. So they say, okay, we're taking it from this clone. We could take these stem cells. We could create other organs to where we can replace it, have better processing of heart replacements and stuff like that. Regeneration. Person lose an ear, they can make it. They could try to regenerate the ear. Person lose a nose, they can try to regenerate the nose. You see what I'm saying? So, but they are saying that they haven't done this yet. So I don't know. But do I think they experiment on it? Do I think they're doing it on the backside? Yes. The process of therapeutic cloning. Remove the nucleus from the unfertilized egg. Remove the nucleus from the donor cell. Inject the donor nucleus into the egg. Allows the egg to divide from the blastocyst. Harvest the stem cells from the blastocyst. All right, so with that, so the difference between this, right? The cloning, like I said, it takes the cell. They take the nucleus out the egg, so therefore it's not using the DNA from the mother. They fuse it identical copy, okay, of the donor, which is the male. This version, they takes the nucleus from the egg and the donor cell. So therefore, you don't even want that baby to be born. So they already taking stuff out, so it's not going to produce a human. You know what I mean? The human like producing like a baby. It doesn't have none of the DNA in it. So therefore, they're trying to make it as process of when you looking at this, you're going to say, "Oh no, you're not doing nothing wrong." So the difference is again, they taking the nucleus, which is the DNA, out of both. Which in the cloning reproductive, when they creating the clone baby, they're taking just the nucleus out the egg. Okay. Controversy of therapeutic cloning. The main controversy around therapeutic cloning is the ethical dilemma of creating the destroying human embryos to harvest embryonic stem cells, which is considered by many to be morally problematic problematic due to the potential for human life being destroyed in the process. Even though the goal is to be used these cells for medical treatments with the potential to cure diseases, these raise questions about the moral status of the embryo and the boundaries of scientific research. So it's basically scientific research that feels like they're using these things to advance and upgrade the medical industry to fight diseases and other things. On the moral side, they saying, man, you're still killing babies. You're producing artificial babies. You're taking the DNA out, and then you taking the stems out, and then you throwing them away. So morally, it's looked at still as you're killing babies. Scientifically, they saying no, we're not, because we ain't fully letting it develop because we're taking the DNA out, and we're doing it to advance. So this is a purpose why we're doing it. We're not doing it for no reason. So these are two arguments on both sides. Identical twin, which some call natural cloning. Now, this is the argument on both sides of this because identical twins, are they really clones? Are they? Is it something the difference between them and the clones that will make them really not clones? So let's see. Natural clones, also known as identical twins, occur in humans and other mammals. These twins are produced when a fertilized egg splits, creating two or more embryos. That carry most identical DNA. Identical twins have nearly the same genetic makeup as each other, but they are genetically different from either parent. Okay, let's say this again. Natural clones, also known as identical twins, occur in humans and other mammals. These twins are produced when a fertilized egg splits, creating two or more embryos that carry almost identical DNA. Identical twins have nearly the same genetic makeup as each other, but they are genetically different from either parent. So it's talking about the embryo once it fuses. So that means once the egg and the sperm fuses, once the egg goes in with the sperm, they split and create two embryos. Remember, I told you the embryo is when the egg and the sperm fuses. So it splits and makes two eggs from the same genetic copy. So that's how they become identical twins because they once were one. They split into two when they was produced before they was producing the embryo. Then it says the makeup of each other, but they are genetically different from either parent. Okay, so you see up top right here. Now, even if you look at these identical twins, okay, they look alike, but can you really, if you really paid attention and look at them, can you see that it is? I see a little difference. I see a little. I don't see a lot. If you don't really know them and you probably see one to see another one, but oh, y'all look just alike. But I think if you actually been around them all day and you start being around them, you from they the way they act to certain things might can explain. Sometimes they're taller. Sometimes one is face a little smaller. Sometimes it's a little different things because they actually getting DNA from both. Okay, identical twins, Columbia University Irving Medical Center. See, when people do research and people do presentations and stuff like that, I always get them to get sources, show them where they getting this information from. Because if they just saying, talking, and they ain't showing sources of where they getting this stuff from, because these people ain't doing it themselves, don't let nobody talk to you about cloning that they ain't never cloned in their life. You have to get the process of cloning from people who actually clone or actually research the people who cloning. So this is how you get this. All right, identical twins come from a single egg that has been fertilized one sperm. For an unknown reason, the fertilized egg splits into two embryos during the first stage of development in the uterus. More identical twins share the same placenta. They get the oxygen and nutrients and get rid of the waste through the placenta. But they usually grow within separate sacs. In rare cases, identical twins share an anomictic sac. Fertile, let me see. Fraternal twins develop when two eggs are fertilized by two separate sperm. The two fetuses have separate placentas um and different sex. So this is the difference between identical and fraternal. So identical share the same placenta. They get the oxygen and nutrients and get rid of the waste through the placenta. The fraternal twins develop two eggs and are fertilized by two different separate sperms, and that fuses have separate placentas. So fraternal twins have two separate sperms. The identical is one sperm that's split with the egg into two. See that? Two eggs, two sperms. One egg, one sperm. So, because when it's talking about the twins, meaning they are just birthed around the same time, you know what I mean? That's what it means too. So they don't have to be identical. So twins don't. It doesn't mean they have to be just all every time because you have different types of twins. So again, there's twins is two eggs, two sperms. Okay, so it's split into the two sperms enter and because two different embryos at the same time. The identical is one egg, one sperm that splits once it become the and it's split into two different embryos, but it's coming from one sperm. Okay, hope y'all get that. Most scientists are against cloning humans, other than the therapeutic reasons. I think there's no reason. This is what a scientist said. I think there's no good reason to make human clones. Hank Riefer, professor of law and genetics, well, this is not a science professor, at Stanford University, who specializes in ethical, legal, and social issues arising from advances of the bioscience, told Live Science to his email. Human cloning is particularly dramatic action. It was one of the topics that helped launch American bioethics. The ethical concerns around human cloning are many and varied, according to Britannica. The potential issues encompass psychological, social, and psychological, psychological and psychological risks. These include the idea that cloning could lead to a very highly likelihood of loss of life and wealth, the concern around the cloning being used as supporters of eugenics. Okay, I can't read too much of that shit too little. But so basically, again, from the beginning, they'll talk about psychology, do the social, all this stuff is involved when it's talking about cloning. Because we don't know the identity. If the cloning will question his identity, so the social society will question the identity, the health reasons that come with it, um, and all that. So again, before I leave out, I just wanted to say when people saying again, these artists are cloning because they don't look like he looks different. That's not a clone. Yeah, I can say Diggleberry, whatever the other name they try to make up, or stunt, whatever y'all want to say, but it ain't a clone. Okay, when you talking about a machine creates a human being, that's not how clone works. Because the clone has to come from a human, the man's cell, and produce with the egg. So it has to go through the same birth process. So it won't be the same age. All that stuff is false. It can't be proven. No scientist agrees with that. There ain't no sources they can pull out. Real source science they can prove out. Okay, so these people we call feel good teaching, meaning it sounds so good and it makes it simple to where you just like, oh, okay, that's what they do. They take a machine and fuse people. No, that's not how shit works. Okay, so stop listening to these sound good people and listen to people who really do it, who really study it and research it. All right, peace out. All right, close this up. Peace, because yeah, I just wanted to, get people to understand this, because a lot of these people be following these people that don't know nothing, man. But I'm about to come up with something in a couple hours, maybe later on the day. I'm gonna talk about killers. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, what just happened? Oh yeah, I'm gonna talk about the killers later on. It's be called killers, serial killers, mental illness, or demons, right? Because I deal with psychology a lot. So we talk about these killers, as these serial killers, especially people would say, religiously, people would say, oh, they demonic, they just got demons in them. But I'm going to show and break down how a lot of these people become these type of evil people. And it comes from a lot of childhood. It comes from a lot of trauma. It comes from a lot of mental illness. You know what I'm saying? Because we had to start understanding mental illness. We had to start studying. People say child trauma, but can you really understand and break down to somebody what child trauma really means? So these are things I want to show. Just saying somebody's demonic ain't gonna fix nothing. It ain't gonna prevent things. It's gonna actually make it worse. So if I have a mental problem, you saying, "Oh, because I got a demon in me," well, how you think that's gonna fix it? You gotta start researching why this person doing what they doing. When I was angry and I was fighting, I was doing all this stuff. It was because I was angry at something that happened when I was child. When I was a child, looking at abuse, daddy not being there, being bullied. A lot of these things can make a person snap, can produce a lot of things. When you go talk about these kids, school shootings, a lot of them was bullied. A lot of other things happen. They just one day just wake up and say, "I'm gonna get to school." So you got to break down the mental of these people, why these people do the things they do, and that's what I do. I try to get people to understand more. So when you dealing with your child, or dealing with a youth, or dealing with somebody else, you can say, be careful because this person is acting out for certain situations. A lot of women who become sexually active at a young age or real sexually active been molested. A lot of people, both men who became gay, was molested as kids. So a lot of this stuff happens, and especially in childhood, there's a lot of things that can happen to you that you didn't even know that happened, or you blocked it out, and it affects you all the way to adult. So we're gonna speak on that. Oh, oh, and